everybody. Welcome back to the L Section podcast. It's been a while since there's been content posted on this channel. My good friend Justin is one of our co-hosts. He's going to be taking some time away for a bit. He's got some stuff going on in his life right now, but he's still very involved in the team. He's going to definitely help us out going forward too. So you'll see him coming in soon. We'll get him and I are gonna get in touch, and we're gonna see if we can get him on too. But yeah, I'm just happy to be back doing this. My co-host right now is my cousin. His name's Anthony. He's my
What's
younger
going on?
cousin. He
What's up?
just
What's up?
graduated from Guelph Humber. And you
Yep.
want to go into that, Anthony?
Yeah, just graduated 4-year course for journalism in media studies program at Guelph Humber. And yeah, now I'm done. About to start the hockey news, hopefully in September. So I'm looking forward to that too. But yeah, I'm glad to be here and I'm glad to co-host.
Dude, that's an awesome opportunity. That's amazing. I hope that that pulls through for you. That'd be an amazing job to have. And as you guys can see, he's obviously extremely qualified, so that's why I'm having him here. He's got a great background, and you did really well in your course. And again, congrats on congratulating there, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So yeah, let's go into the mix here. So if anyone that was watching before, we kind of just had this as like an open conversation, just a general conversation. Like I find a lot of the best podcasts are the ones that don't really have just a topic they talk about. It's just, they talk about anything, like we talk about sports, which we're going to get into in a bit, we talk about everyday things. I find the podcasts that I don't know if I can speak for everybody, but the ones that I love are the ones that just talk about like everyday life and, overcoming things and, just being a consumer and whatnot, right? And just things that happen in our everyday lives. I just find those are the most successful ones, and just having open conversations about anything, like the Joe Rogan experience or, a podcast like that, and always been that's been very successful for like over 20 years. So yeah, it's just just an open conversation, not judging anybody. I'm not here We're not here for any drama. Like I just, we're going to say how we feel about things, and
Yeah.
that's it. And we respect everyone's opinions, and we hope you respect ours, right? So
Positive vibes all
um
around.
yeah, man. Yeah, you want to add anything to that, Anthony, at all?
I don't
Or
know. I think you nailed pretty much all of it. Like
oh,
it's
okay.
being positive on every aspect of things. We're in a tough world right now, tough situations. Every time I turn on the TV, there's a tough situation, and
Oh,
the
agreed.
last thing we need to talk about socially in our lives is something negative. So it's good to spread some positivity and some light on things.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like there's just I totally agree with what you said. There's just so much negativity in this world. Um it's just I just, I'm just tired of seeing it and hearing about it. And you just try to keep a positive mind. It's hard these days with everything that's really going on in this world. Inflation is crippling all of us here, and it's just doing a number, right? So it's and other things too. Like it's a grind, but just for everybody out there, like we're all kind of in the same boat right now. Just try to hang in there and just keep going.
Yeah.
So yeah, and if anyone, I just want to kind of talk about the journey, that it's been from the last episode we've done till now. As some of you may remember me, maybe not. I don't have a huge platform, so I don't want to start acting like that or talking like that. But it's tough. Like I was heartbroken, but I understood why, and it's been quite a mental grind since we decided to close things, and trying to figure out the next step. And that was the hardest thing for me, is just what do I do next, right? I kind of took a break from this podcast for a bit to kind of pursue that. And but again, I'm happy to be back. And it just got me ready for the next step. I was pretty down for a bit, but I'm just happy that we're doing this again. And as we were talking the last couple of weeks, Anthony, we have like a pretty
Mhm.
good, pretty good potential going with this thing here. It's going to be great, and we have, him and Anthony and I are going to try to have some guests on in the future. We want to try to, pull out a few episodes first, and just try to get more of our content, and then maybe start having guests. I've been in touch with a lot of people, as I've been showing Anthony too, and it should be good. So
Got some
I'm
good ones
excited.
coming up.
Yeah. We're gonna get in touch with someone, maybe in the next few months, and uh, I think I sent you like my screenshot of that whole list I had, and
Yeah, I know that it
uh,
was a massive list.
yeah, it's some guys I've like talked to in the past, or stuff like that, and guys like we follow each other and things like that. So yeah, the future's gonna be bright. I'm pretty excited. Um, Again, yeah, it's been a bit of a tough ride the last few months. Um, I don't want to go into too much details too with this, but like around the time when I found out that like Habsonite was closing down, I found out like a member of my family has cancer, so it was like one after the other, and it was pretty tough, and it was just emotionally, it was really hard to um, keep going sometimes, but you gotta get through it. You gotta get up every day, go to work, and whatever anyone's day consists of, you just gotta get up and do it, and just keep going. As much as it's hard to get out of bed some days, you just gotta do it. You
Yeah,
know,
for
yeah,
sure. Um, I there's days where I'm like that too, where I'm like, I don't want to wake up and do this stuff. When I come home from work, I always go to the gym right after at around like 12:30 a.m. And I'm just absolutely gassed. I eat my dinner, and then I'm like, I'm gonna chill on PlayStation for a while, talk to my friends, and then I'm like, I don't want to go to the gym. But I know that, you know what, if I don't do it, it's never gonna be done, right? If I don't do it, I'm never gonna achieve that goal. So to have something like that, to have stuff in your life to say, you know what, I get to do this, and I get to have that experience with it and achieve this goal and have something to work towards is important.
Absolutely. That's such a good message to send too, and like you say, like I know a lot of people like that too, Anthony, where they go to the gym, or they work out, and then there's days where they just don't feel like doing it, right? But they push themselves, and they know pushing themselves is going to be the only way, you know, um, that we're gonna be able to go forward, right? And that's such a great message to send, like going back to the like, just try to be positive. I just try to tell people every day, like a lot of people, a lot of my friends, some of them tell me what's going on in their life, and I sometimes not just my friends, I've heard other stories, like I see it every day. Um, Sometimes one thing I try to tell myself and others too is, if you think your life is if you're going through shit right now, there's always somebody that's going through something worse. That's one thing I've always tried to remember. Like there's been some days where I'm like feeling like absolute shit, and I'm like questioning, like, what am I doing this for? Like, what am I trying to achieve with this? Like, some days, you have those days where you question yourself, right? And then you talk to other people, and you kind of hear what's going on with them, and it's like, you know what? It's a bit of a grind right now, but there's always somebody going through something worse. So it's always important to stay positive in those situations.
For sure. And I mean, one example I always tell my friends when I hear some of them complaining about their situation, and I'm like, listen, like you said, like there's always worse going on in some other part of the world with someone else, right? Someone could be, I don't know, in a rough neighborhood, battling it out, trying to fight for their life. Someone could be in a war-torn country, fighting for their life to survive, to protect their children, to protect their family, whatnot, right? There's always worse in the world, and you just got to be grateful for what you have and for where you are, because God puts things in your way, and also puts people in your way to kind of challenge you and tell you, you know what, like, you want to get to where you are, you got to get through these hurdles first, right?
Absolutely, man. I always say too, like, God works in mysterious ways, and sometimes He questions your faith. I saw this video before we hopped on, and it's just some ways where God may be questioning, you may be questioning your faith, and God's doing it on purpose to, make you stronger and make you more of a believer, right? Whether it be like financial struggles or just family issues or friend issues or heartbreak, whatever it is. He's testing you. And one thing this thing too, I've seen so many videos this posted, and um I had like a few years ago, I had some falling out with some friends, and you know, it was probably a good thing in the end with how it happened. And, they weren't really a good fit in my life anymore. But one thing I remember seeing, and it just really hit deep for me, was like, you know, God was there in those and heard conversations that you weren't there for. And, everything happens for a reason, right? He heard the conversations that you didn't. So pretty much like, it's I don't know if it was word for word like that, but it basically to sum it up, that's basically what it meant. So yeah, man, it's just he hears the conversations that you don't, and always looking out for you. There's and a lot of people have asked me in the past, like, why are you spiritual, or why do you Catholic or whatever. um and I say, because I've seen God's work, like, even I mean, I'm not, I should be doing better, though. I haven't gone to church in a while, again, because I was feeling really lost the last few months, and like I just didn't know what to do with myself, right? So I didn't, but you feel God's like, will, I guess you could say, when you go to church, or like even on even on a daily basis, you just meet somebody. It can be like a 5-second interaction that can just absolutely make your day, right? And it's just, I always think He works in mysterious ways, and that's one of them.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, I've had some recent experiences where, like, I I've doubted some parts of my life where I'm like, okay, yeah, I can't do this, I can't do that, this is not gonna happen, you know. And then all of a sudden, you know, it's the least expected moments where you're like, did this just happen? And I thought about it, and I said it wasn't gonna happen, but it ended up happening because I kept asking and asking and asking and working, just living my life. Most of the time, it's just when you're just living your life, right? You're just doing doing your casual day routine, not a thought in the world about it, and then it just happens. So yeah, especially with situations like people, for example, right? Like, you meet somebody, you you kind of get to know them, you're friends with them, right? You, if it's a girl, you get in a relationship with them, right? Like, it's the way it works, where it's like, yeah, like you said, God hears conversations that you don't. And I can say the same for myself, where I've had friends, where people have called friends that just maliciously talk shit about me behind my back. And I'm like, okay, well, and then they redirect it to me and say, oh, well, you said this about me, this and that. Well, I don't need that in my life, right? So it's that situation where it's like, okay, I know who are the friends that care and who are the friends that aren't, right? And yeah, God makes you see that right away with people, right? And
Hmm.
you're not gonna always get a good apple, right? But the good ones are the people you keep in your life. So I'm only 21 right now. Gonna be 22 soon. I still got a lot more to go. Probably you probably have a lot more than me in life scenarios, but yeah, I definitely agree with your point.
Yeah, man, trust me, you're 22. You know, if I can, sometimes I always think about it, man. I'm gonna be 27 in July in 2 months, and sometimes I think about like, man, if I can go back to being 21, 22, and I would change quite a few things. You know, that the way I conducted myself and the people I had in my corner. But sometimes try to tell myself this every day. I try to tell everybody around me this, and you know, you can't really live with regret in your life, because trust me, been there, done that. It'll make you really bitter. It'll make you really salty and miserable. Um, Also, you can't really live with regret in your life as well, because at the time you made that choice or decision, that's what you wanted, right? So you made the choice at the time because you wanted to, more or less, more than likely, right? So you got to remember that, obviously your perspective of life changes, your perspective and your maturity changes over the years, but remember you made that choice because you wanted to, right? Like, um, I wish I was better with money, and I'm getting better with it, but I wish I was better with money in my early 20s, you know, than I am now. Like, I wish I was better with money back then because I'd be in a little bit better situation. But like, you're younger and naive. But again, I'm not saying everyone's going to be like that, but just I was, right. And you know, there was like quite a few years there where I was just like, um, I didn't know what my purpose was, and um, I just would like I didn't know what else I wanted to do with my life. I just worked during the week, and then on weekends I'd, go and like smoke weed and get drunk and like, party every weekend. And like, I'm not saying, if anyone wants to do that, then that's totally fine with you. It's your life, and um, that's your decisions and your choices, and all the power to you. Say la vie. But like, you know, is that gonna really make you happy long term? Because for me, it really didn't, right? Um, you know, it just goes back to too as well. Like, the people in your corner will, you know, will benefit. If they don't benefit you long term, then maybe they're just not your kind of people. And you shouldn't have to change yourself to kind of match your surroundings, right? Just be you. That's one thing I've also learned as well. Just be yourself, be as authentic as you can, and just keep it real.
Yeah, for sure. I try to tell myself that too. Just when it looks like you're you're not like kind of interesting to the person you want to be interesting to, like a friend or someone like that, right? You just got to be yourself. Like, I tell myself, you know what? If they didn't like me, that means they're not the person for me, right? They didn't like talking to me or whatnot. I shouldn't waste my time on this person. Should just move on, because there's better people in my life that like me for me and don't mind my company or my social conversations I have with them. Like, it's really, really, in a way, it's kind of picky, I guess, of those people. But at the end of the day, being yourself is the best way to go in life, and being confident in who you are. If the main moral of the story is, if you can't love yourself, then you know no one else can love you, right? But yeah, just I think one of the things that blew over a lot of people's confidence lately socially was probably COVID. That kind of affected a lot of things, where we just we're all kind of isolated. We're posting on our phones everywhere, like, and everyone's trying to be better than everyone else, on a status quota. But yeah, just being yourself, being genuine, being true to who you are, um, not being afraid to express yourself and your values, who you are, protect who you are, because when people change you, even I can say from my experience too, you won't like who you are when you try to change that part of yourself. I've had the same friends I cut off where I'm just gonna be flat out, they were assholes. So obviously nature is nurtured, right? And you become an asshole too. And it's not the best. So yeah, just being true to who you are, finding the people that bring out the best in you rather than the worst is always the best way to go, because they will always have good intentions for you, and with that you feel that, you know what, I have a good group of people around me. So yeah.
Yeah, man, I totally agree with what you said. Everything you said there was just spot on. Like another thing too, like, I used to pick a lot of fights back then with people. Like I was just a very like combative person when I didn't really need to be, right? Like it's just again, um, and a couple of years ago, like during COVID, I kind of went through like, a bit of a awakening spiritually, and yeah, like it messed me up in a lot of ways, COVID, like, like being isolated, like we couldn't even see our family. Like you remember, like we couldn't see each
Mhm.
other, like no for like
Yeah.
almost a year, right? So couldn't see you. We couldn't see your parents. Like we couldn't see Noah.
It
Like
was brutal.
our other cousins too. It was brutal. It was hard, man. Like it was, you know, and even just my friends too. Like I remember we like we were like video like um I didn't have an iPhone back then, but like we used WhatsApp like video calls, and I was just like hanging out in my backyard, and the other two were, and it was just like it was great to have those interactions, but it's like, you know, having like personal like, contact with everybody is better, right? And I remember just one of them, I just hung up like the video call, and I was just like, like when the fuck is this gonna end, right? Like it was like maybe a couple months into it, and I was like this is like ridiculous. We can't go on like this, right? But obviously, it. I think it wasn't really, it was tough on me, but it made me a better person, and I think a lot of people, went through hard times through that time gap.
Mhm.
But it made everyone stronger, right? And like I always say this, like hard times create strong people, right? Like we're in the process of, I think I've sent you this video before, but like on TikTok I saw it scrolling by, but like how like good times create weak people, and weak people create hard times, and hard times create strong people. It's like a cycle like that. Now, my personal opinion, I think you know we're kind of transitioning out of the weak times create, or the easy times create weak people. We're slowly transitioning into the hard times create strong people phase,
Mhm.
and we're kind of recreating history in a lot of ways right now, right? So yeah, like, you know anyone that's been going through anything, mental health issues or things like that in the last 3 years, 4 years, um you get up in the morning, it's hard, but you have something, like you have something that a lot of people don't. And like, you woke up this morning, and not a lot of people made it, today, right? But you have something, and just remember that that's always the key, is just remember, if you're still up and you're still kicking it, you got something.
Yeah. I think something similar to what you said. Uh, I don't know if I should bring him up, but I will. Andrew Tate made the famous quote about, you know what, as much as he's kind of a controversial um, person throughout social media and society, he did make a good quote where he's like, you know what, you may think your life is bad, but you wake up in the morning and say, oh, I gotta go to work. At least you can say, I gotta go to work. Oh, I have a shitty car. At least you can say you have a car, right? Oh, my house is
Yeah.
bad. Or at least you can say you have a house,
Oh,
right?
I gotta
Like
take care of the kids, but
a
at
lot
least
of
you have kids that love you, right? Like I
yeah,
remember that quote.
yeah.
That
Like
Yeah, that
it's
that
it's 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 just the words you choose in your life as well, like he said, the words you choose in your life are important. And if you keep putting those words into fruition, of course, you're going to have a rough time, right? But just finding good things in your life to appreciate is what really makes life worth living.
Absolutely, man. Um, you know, you just sometimes you have to, work with the hand you've been dealt, right? That's usually what I say, like in a game of like poker, right? You gotta work with the hand you're dealt. Some people, maybe the hand they've been drawn is maybe not the best, but the strongest people are the ones that just work with what they have and build more, right? And that's one thing too, like going back to like about Andrew Tate, like yeah, like we talked a lot about him in I'd say the last year when he kind of blew up. There's some things again I don't agree with that he says, right? I don't, but there's a lot of things that I've learned from him that um that are change a lot of people's lives, to respect yourself, live a healthy lifestyle. um it's just the way I think he says it and how sometimes he goes into generalization, which is what's
Yeah.
been kind of against him, right? Where like he says things like like all female pilots would like crash a plane, like I don't know if I
Yeah.
agree with that, right? That's
It's tough.
that's
It's
up
tough.
for like you can't, again, it's that's up for that's an opinion, right?
Hmm.
But is it true? I don't know. And do I agree with it? I don't know if I do. If there's stats that back it up, then okay. But like that's the thing I'm talking about. Is like a generalization of sometimes he generalizes things, right? Like but again, there's a lot of things I've learned from him. Like to have good people in your corner, have good friends, like good male friends in your corner, good brotherhoods. You know, date a date or marry a good woman that loves and respects you. Like those are good things to teach young men, like going into the world today, because the world is a really fucked up place. Like
Hmm.
I see it every day. Like I turn on, like you said, I think like you turn on your TV, or I open up TikTok or open up Instagram or Twitter, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like at least once
Yeah,
a day
man.
I say that.
It's tough
Like
too. Like,
it's
sorry.
fucked up,
Yeah.
man. No, go ahead, go ahead.
Like, for example, like I just recently saw, I see on social media all these like joke videos, like memes of like people making of Canada's Wonderland. I don't know if you heard, all these little youths are friggin' out of control,
Yeah.
man. Like they're acting like it's a Top Gun episode. I don't know if you're not Top Gun, Top Top Boy. It's a show made by Drake
Oh,
on
okay.
Netflix.
I don't think I've
It's like
seen that.
about like the British, the English streets, like London, like you know how they all have like
Mm,
the knives and stuff, right? Yeah. So
yeah.
um yeah, it's literally just a turf war when you walk into Canada's Wonderland, apparently now. And there's little kids, families taking their kids there, and then you just see two kids, probably my brother's age, right, or younger, just going at it, beefing each other like they're rappers, right? Like it's unnecessary that this has to happen in Canada's Wonderland, right? Like that's like, I don't know, like 10, 15 minutes away from my house, 15, 20
Yeah, you're
minutes
pretty close.
more.
That's right.
Yeah, like it's right near my neighborhood, right? And why does this have to happen? Why are these kids fighting, bro? Like it makes me wonder, like, even though I listen to a lot of these artists, right? Like a lot of rap music, I've listened to new, old, right? A lot of these artists are rappers that are influencing these kids, and they have an aggressive lifestyle. Okay, I get it. It's part of the rap culture, right? I've grown up listening to it and embracing it, but then it gets to a point where it's like, okay, these kids really admire it, and they're like, okay, I gotta be like this person because then I'm cool, right? Then I look cool, right? No, you don't look cool for having a knife in your hand, bro. You don't look cool for having a gun in your hand, bro. You take someone's life. You can go to people in jail. I'm pretty sure there's people in jail that can tell you, bro, do not waste your life on this. You are just a kid. Do not waste your life on this. because you will regret it for the rest of your life because you shot somebody, because you stabbed somebody. A couple months ago, we had incidents with the TTC. People were getting stabbed every night, right? Or almost
Yeah.
every night,
Oh,
right?
messed up.
And it made people wonder, am I safe even traveling home or to another spot, traveling to work and back home, right? Like I can't even take the public transportation without fearing for my life, right? Especially women who are most vulnerable at night, and they
Yeah.
can. I've had girls who I had to walk home because I'm like, you know what? They're not safe out here, and they appreciate it, right? So to be in a society right now, it is really bad, and I totally agree with you on that point. We are in a tough society. It's a doggy dog world out here. So yeah.
Yeah. Amen to that, buddy. Like I'm totally everything you said there was absolutely spot on. And like going back to like you said, like the rap culture and like again, I grew up in, I went to high school and I listened to a lot of like that gangster rap. Like we all did, right? Like it's, because we all think it's cool, right? And then like eventually you grow up and it's like you listen to the lyrics and you're re-listening to this music and you're like, this is messed up. Like, what kind of like this is not a good lifestyle, Like,
Yeah.
it's fucked up. Like, like it's just it's people, like people could take it literally. Like I heard like again, I've listened to like I listened to some of these artists back then, and I'm like they're talking about like like the ops and shit, like fucking shooting up the ops. I'm like, what the? And I listen to that now, and I'm like, holy, this is not. Yeah, wow. Like, it's pretty crazy. And I did play hockey with this guy in my winter league, but Tuesday nights I play with this guy. I'm not gonna say what school he is at, but he's a principal at a school in Brampton, a high school, and um, every week he had like news stories about these like kids being out of control and like like the system's broken and all this stuff and like they won't let like the whole thing. And I said to him like, why do you think? I said to him straight up, I was like, why do you think kids are so fucked up these days? Like, what is wrong? And I think he made a good point. And then after he said it, I thought about it. And what he said was, kids haven't stopped being kids for generations.
Mhm.
Teenage boys and teenage girls, they've been the same for generations, right? But I think it's just the parenting has just gotten worse and worse over the decades. That's where the problem is.
Mhm.
Like each generation, just the parenting gets worse. Trust me, I know some people my age that have kids that should not have fucking kids. Like they're not good parents. Like they're good people, they're nice people, but they just should not be parents. And then that's the problem. Everybody from my generation and my brother's generation are having kids and they grew up and a lot of these people just had parents that, just let them do whatever they want. And
Mhm.
then they have kids and it's like the same vicious cycle, right? So like you know, I it's just crazy. Like, kids have always been the same, but I just feel like like they're some kids you can tell nowadays were never hit when they were
Oh
younger,
yeah, for sure.
or they were never told no when they were a kid. Like their parents were never like, no, you're not doing that.
Yeah,
You're
but
you're fucking stupid.
I feel
You
like it's kind
know?
of a I feel like it's kind of a societal thing too today. Like
Mhm.
I'm thinking back to that Russell Peters scenario where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna call child services. Okay, go ahead, right? Like his dad had no balls.
Yeah,
His dad had
uh,
balls to say that, right?
yeah, zero
And he's
fucks
like, I'm
given.
gonna do it. Yeah, I'm gonna call child services. Okay, but you're gonna be in big trouble after this, right? Whereas you do that now, and the parents be like, okay, I don't want to traumatize you. I don't want to get in trouble. Don't call the number, Billy. Don't call the number, okay? And the kid has most of the power, right? The kid
Yeah,
stays up late, bro. I stay up late. I can't really point that out, but
we all have.
um, the kids are out late on school nights, right? Doing what God
Yeah,
knows what. In the summertime, it's like, okay, it makes sense, right? You want to have fun,
yeah, of
right?
course.
Go ahead. I don't care as long as you're back by a certain time if I'm the parent, right? But
Mhm.
it's like they're not developing properly, right? Noah tells me all the time, my brother Noah, he tells me, Anthony, I see all these kids entering into grade 9, grade 10, and all of a sudden they're just shorter and shorter. I'm like, why is that? He's like, you know what? I think they don't get enough sleep. I think they don't eat enough. I think they don't do this. I don't think they don't. And you know what? There we go. That's society
Right.
today, right? To make this like wild animal out of kids, this demon out of kids, where it's like they're not even kids anymore. But I mean, can I say the same as my parents when they were teenagers, right? My dad would tell me all the stories where actually he tried not to
Oh,
tell me the stories where he would get in fights as a kid or as a teenager,
oh,
right?
I've heard a lot of stories about your dad. Your dad was a rowdy one. I love it.
Yeah, like I can't complain about that, but those were the times in his time in the 80s, right? They would just they would just have fun. They didn't care. They just wanted to live their life. On top of that, they didn't have this thing with them the whole time, right? So that didn't influence them in their personality. They weren't hardwired to think a certain way, be a certain way, act a certain way. Oh, you have to adapt to this part of culture, you have to adapt to this part of whatever, right? You were actually you, right? You got to grow up the way you wanted to grow up. I look back at when I grew up before I honestly, I'd say your generation and my generation were probably the last generation, maybe Noah's too, um, to fully develop without cell phones. Because
Yeah,
for a good half part of my life, cell phones weren't really a massive part of people's lives, at least in my generation. Um, Probably when I was in like grade 6 or grade 7. Not even then. Grade 8 was the time when 2014 when I saw people in my class. Oh, everyone had a cell phone, or almost everyone had a cell phone, right? And if you had a cell phone, everyone thought, oh shoot, Anthony's cool. This person's cool, right? They have a cell phone on them. Way back when, probably 2011, 2012, you had a cell phone on you as a kid. Oh my gosh, he's so cool. He has a cell phone.
and he's
Now it's like
fucking
everybody
badass.
has one. It's like no one gives a fuck, right? Like
Yeah,
it's just that's the way kids are developing today is to be Mr. and Mrs. Showtime and TikTok, all that stuff is influencing too. It's just it's there's a whole bunch of variables in it.
fucking
And
dangerous.
yeah, it's a lot of those variables are contributing to it.
Agreed, man. I totally agree with you. Like, I honestly, Anthony, I didn't get my first cell phone until I was 15.
Yeah.
I never
It's
had one. I grew up with, without it, right? Like, and the first phone I got was like this, like shitty Samsung like flip phone thing, and like that's all I got, right? I didn't have like iPhone 4S was like huge at the time in like 2012, like, and like I just didn't grow up with it. I'm kind of happy I didn't because like I mean, I grew up with like Facebook and like Twitter, stuff like that, like more like in grade 7, grade 8 for me. But again, most of like I didn't know what social media was until like Facebook really started to pop off. Like everyone in my class had Facebook in grade 7, so I was like, I'm gonna get this now, right? Like it's kind of cool. But yeah, man, I think my generation, I think yeah, and your generation too, for the most part. I'd say like the last ones that didn't grow up and develop on cell phones. It's just it's crazy how much just changed like that. Like kids are, you know, going back to what I said earlier. Like kids haven't stopped being kids, and they've always been. But like things have changed though. Like when I was in high school, like I graduated high school almost 10 years ago, and I see how some of these high school kids are now, and I'm like, what the like, I thought I was like, I could look back and I thought
that
I
sounds
was
yeah.
fucked in high school, man. Like some of these kids are like off the roof, like it's bloody insane. Like, and I know I sound like an old head here, man, but it's like, holy shit, these kids are like sometimes they're just out of control. And it's like sometimes like I'll go to the mall. It's funny, like I'll go to like Bramley City Center and I'll like go to like the stores or whatever, or I'll get something to eat, and I'll see like these pack of teenagers like acting like fucking goofs, and I'm like just shake my head, and I'm like, I don't know if I can really shake my head because I was like this 10 years ago as
Yeah.
well. like 10, 11 years ago, I was the exact same way. I'm like, can I even really talk? I was like, again, not a care in the world. And, you know, again, but things are different now for kids these days, again, because social media is
Mhm.
very much a part of everyone's life, right? And,
For sure.
like it was pretty big, social media was starting to get big when I was in high school. Like Instagram started getting big when I was like in grade 9, grade 10. Um, and like people would know about each other, what's going on through that, right? So you kind of couldn't really keep your life private at times. But yeah, things are definitely different for this generation of kids than when I was growing up there. So yeah,
Yeah, no, I I see it all the time too, right? I have a brother who's in high school, so it makes sense at this point, and I wonder how these kids though, like going into the future, how they will progress, right? And it's just interesting to me how I lost my camera there for a second.
oh, are you okay?
Oh, all good, all good.
You're
Yeah,
good.
so
Okay, no worries.
going into it, it really bothers me how these kids are kind of progressing a little bit because I'm like, they're saying a lot of stuff that they probably don't mean or won't mean when they grow up. And one thing I'm proud of that I got to grow up with is that this wasn't on me when I was a kid, at least up until I was like 13, 14, right? Um, because it is with this whole cancel culture
Yeah,
society we're in, you say something 8 years ago, no matter how old you are in the context of what you said, nobody cares. At least certain people. Well, put certain people, I'll put that in
yeah,
quotations, because there are
yeah.
people who are like, okay, that have logical thinking and they're like, okay, this person was what, 13 years old when they said this, and they probably didn't mean it. They probably didn't think about it when they put it there, and they probably weren't mature enough to say it, right?
Yeah.
If you're 21 years old and you're putting something on social media, you probably will be screwed because you know what? At that point, you're not a young dumb kid anymore, right? You're a grown ass person and you have responsibility over it in society to say that or to do that, right? And it you're gonna have to bite the bullet at times if you're young and you do stuff like that, right? A good example would probably be the Malcolm Miller situation for the Boston Bruins, right? He did some stuff to um,
Oh,
someone,
Mitch
and
Miller. Yeah,
yeah,
well, he bullied
I
that
thought
kid.
I
Yeah,
believe yeah, I said Malcolm Miller. I don't know why I said Malcolm
that's
Miller.
okay.
Mitchell
No
Miller.
worries. That's
Yeah, Mitchell Miller. He bullied someone and racially abused him too, right? And that person came back. I forgot the guy's name, but he came back, and you know what? Good on him. He told him, you know what? I don't want your apologies. I don't want to. I just want you to realize what you did, right? That's all I
okay.
want you to realize, right? You don't want to apologize. That's fine. I don't need that from you, right? But you said this. You did this to me with your friends, and you took no responsibility whatsoever. Now you're in the spotlight. Now it's biting you in the ass. Now you got to bite the bullet and you got to say, you know what? I did this and I'm sorry. Logan Mayu, another one, right? He was a young kid who did some stupid stuff to said some stupid stuff to a girl and eventually it bit him in the ass, right? So, but he came out and he was responsible about it. And I feel like if they're responsible about it, if they know what they did wrong and they're working to correct it, that person deserves a second chance. Whereas if someone is not willing to correct it, if someone is taking ownership of their wrongs in the way where they're expressing it to create a negative attitude or a negative experience, it's like don't do that. Like you're not helping your case. You're making it worse for yourself because you're spreading out that bad message to people. If Mitchell Miller came out and said, you know what, I did enjoy what I said to that guy, and me and my friends had fun with it, and I don't care what anyone says. I'm going to the NHL. Well, you know what? I wouldn't want you if I'm the Boston Bruins. I'm sorry. I would not want you on my team because you're going to pose problems socially and throughout the locker room, right? What if a black teammate was on your team and you picked on him or did some stuff, hazed them, whatnot, right? They're not going to want to deal with that, right? It looks
Mhm.
bad on the person, right? So, um, to go back to my point, it's always bad when you convey it a certain way, right? But yeah, it depends on the person's development at that point, right? These kids, they don't have a filter, which at times it may be funny in certain ways where they're making memes and stuff. Okay, but you look at it and it gets to the point where they break that line, and then once you break that line, you're screwing yourself. So yeah, I'm kind of glad that I didn't have that power to use social media when I was a kid. My dad tried to keep me off of Facebook for the longest time. I was like you. All my friends were going on Facebook, Twitter, all these other like apps. I can't remember. Kick, friggin' Ask.com was another one
Oh
I
yeah, Ask
remember.
FM.
Yeah,
That
man.
one
Like
was crazy. That one
once
was
I got my
fun.
phone, I was signing up for all these things, and then everyone stopped using it. Everyone was on Instagram after. Like, it got to the point where like I had to be a certain age to use the social media because my parents would not trust me with it. And then yeah, eventually my brother would get it, and it just became normalized in society where everyone had it by the time my brother had it, and no one really cared as long as you weren't, being irresponsible with it.
Hmm. Totally agree with you, man. Like, like you're saying about posting things, like, as a kid and being naive and, not maybe knowing what's right and what's wrong, right? Like for someone for experience like me, like, like I've gotten in trouble for things I've said on the internet before quite a few times, right? Like I was just a loose cannon, even in my early 20s. Like, I regret it, but you learn, you live and you learn, right? And it's just one of those things too, like again, like there's nothing wrong with, you know, expressing your beliefs, right? But also at the same time, like there's a time and a place for everything, right?
Hmm.
That's one thing that I've learned is and I encourage people to think this way too. Sometimes, sometimes you gotta bite your tongue. You know, I'm a very proud person. Like I have a lot of pride, in myself. But sometimes it's like you hear something or you see something you don't agree with, depending on what it is, right? If it's extremely outrageous, but even sometimes that, like, sometimes it's just better not to, you know, sometimes it's just better not to even like get so invested into it. It's just not worth it. Many times like on the internet, I see things I don't agree with, and half of the time, I'm like, wow, I don't. It's kind of messed up, or what the hell is this? And I just keep scrolling, or I just turn off my phone. Right? Like, it's just not worth. It's not worth it. And like it. Trust me. Again, I have gotten myself in a lot of trouble before, right? And I regret it. And I've even to the people, like, for the most part, not everybody, because some of these people won't talk to me ever again, and probably would want to see me fail, and that's fine. Like, that's your prerogative. It doesn't affect me, and I don't lose sleep over it. But there are some people, I've reached out to in the past, and I'm like, hey man, or hey, I'm sorry, for doing this like a few years ago, or saying that to you, or whatever, right? So like, and I try to live my life in the way, like, I don't like to have any burdens or any, you know, not grudges, but like I just want to be at peace with, as much people as I can. Sometimes it's hard. You can't be at peace with everybody if you've had conflict in the past. That's just the nature of the world. But for everyone, a lot of people I've reached out to, like, hey, like I know we had like beef in the past. Like, hey, I'm sorry, man. Like, like I'm a different person now, and I hope you're well. And they're always like, yeah, no, man, I'm kind of like, I don't even care anymore. It's all good. Like I just try to be at peace in your life as much as you can. You know, it's not good to hold on to any kind of burdens or grudges like that. Like, now I'm not saying like, you know, to let people take advantage of you, or, you know, to, you know, stuff like that. Like, there's different for me. I always say this, there's a difference between holding a grudge and not forgetting things, right? Like, holding a grudge is like where you, again, you want to see that person fail, or you want to see that person like just completely fuck up their life, right? Or fail. But I find it's like, hey, I'll forgive you, but I won't forget what you said or what you did, right? That's, you know, like, again, I had a falling out with a friend like maybe like 4 years ago. And then a year later, like during the pandemic, he reached out to me and said, hey, look, I'm sorry for everything I did during that our fight, you know. And I was like, hey, I appreciate you owning up to what you did. I wasn't perfect either. I said and did some pretty scumbag shit as well. I'm sorry. You know, I hope everyone's well, you know, and again, I don't want to wish harm on anybody, right? Because again, like, you know, going back to like earlier in the episode, we were talking about like, you know, God and, you know, being, you know, our religion, like we don't like to wish like that upon people, right? Like, you know, I try to forgive people as much as I can. Again, it depends what you do, right? But I try to be forgiving because, you know, that's what I've been taught, you know, my whole life, right? So I find like cancel culture kind of, we're kind of touching up that topic. Like, I just think it's kind of crazy how, um, you know, you can just ruin somebody's life just like that in the snap of a finger. I saw this thing the other day. Who that kicker for the Bills that was accused of like gang raping a girl. He got cut before the season, and apparently, the allegations were fake the whole time. Like, he wasn't even there. So
Wasn't there was a who's a player on the Cowboys, Ezekiel Elliott.
yeah,
He
that's
had that
another
same
one.
issue. Yeah.
Yeah, like the text messages got leaked, and the girl was saying like, if you break up with me, I'll tell him that you hit me. And he's like, what? He's like, what the hell? No, what the fuck? Like, and then the whole thing came out, right? So yeah, man, like, it's just, I just personally, I think like stuff like that, like, people should be held accountable, right? I'm pretty sure like, well, what happened with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, right?
Hmm.
She made up those like allegations that like he would abuse her and stuff, and then ended up being the opposite pretty much, right? And obviously there was a whole suit about that, making up allegations, defamation of character, stuff like that, right? Like,
Yeah.
I just think people that make up things like that for attention, like, you know, should be held accountable. You should face jail time if you falsely accuse
Oh
somebody
yeah,
of rape,
I totally agree on that.
or yeah, or like any kind of defamation of character. You should be held accountable. Like, I'm sorry, like, I don't care what it is. Like, you gotta, you know, you do the crime, you pay the time, right? So
Mhm.
that's the one thing
Yeah.
I've heard.
You
Yeah,
also
man.
ruin someone's life for eternity when you
Yeah.
try to accuse them of stuff like that. I'm pretty sure. Um, I'm I'm not trying to condemn what Amber Heard did, but what she did was horrible, and look, and now it ruined her life. It bit her back in the ass when she tried to
Yep.
accuse Johnny Depp, and I forgot what she's doing now.
She
I
quit
saw
Hollywood.
something. Yeah,
She quit
she's
Hollywood,
moving
and
on to something else now. I just can't remember what it was, but
she's
yeah,
moving to Madrid.
yeah, okay, so she's moving to Madrid, right? She's just trying to get away from this. If you're asking me, I think she's just trying to silence the noise around her, and
Yeah.
she's quitting Hollywood because no one wants to deal with that,
Yeah.
right?
She's
No
getting
movie
blacklisted.
producer, no movie company wants to deal with something like that. And another thing is that the Johnny Depp case shed more light on men's mental health, in my opinion, because
It did.
no one listens to what men say in society, where in the context that, men are struggling too mentally. Like, he got abused, Johnny Depp, verbally and kind of physically abused by Amber Heard. So no one's gonna obviously talk about that because he's a man and his voice doesn't matter in this society that we live in today.
System.
and Amber Heard wins by default because she's the woman and she's vulnerable, and there's no way she can abuse him. Okay, well, we have court case proof that he was abused by Amber Heard, and that shed light on that men have voices too, mentally speaking, when it comes to their mental health, because
Mhm.
their well-being matters just as much as women and everyone else in this world. We want to all be equal. We want to all love each other. We got to learn to respect each other's mental well-being, right? Health wise
Mhm.
as well, right? There's friends that have come to me and they've said, you know what, Anthony, you don't look like you're good right now. Like, let's talk about something. I'm like, you know what, I appreciate that, because you know what, not a lot of guys around me here are coming up to me and saying that, and if they do, they do with fake intentions, because after that I hear that, oh, Anthony complains too much, Anthony does this, Anthony does that, you just suck it up, you suck it up. Okay, I'll suck it up, but like, for how long can somebody suck up something without going completely insane about who they are or what's going on, right? Or being physically, mentally abused by someone else and then being accused later for doing so, right? So it goes both ways at the end of the day. Um, we got to look out for each other at the end. The moral of it is we got to look out for each other and make sure everyone is okay, especially the people that we love and we care about the most, because those are the people that are important.
Totally agree, man. Like even with my friends, like we have a group chat, and at least once a week, I'll try and send out a message. Like I get really busy with my day, I get, Cass and I are doing stuff. We get busy. Um, I try to once a day, just or sorry, once a week, I try to just send a message to our group chat. Hey, just a simple hey, how are you guys doing? Everything okay? That I try. That's all. I try to do it at least once a week. Just check in on them. They don't even have to say much. Just say, "Yeah, I'm okay," and I'm like, "Okay, that's good. I'm glad." I always say, if there's anything you need to talk about, speak up because we're here, all right? And there's been times where we have all spoken up about stuff, and um, and that's just the kind of people you want. Like you want people that are gonna check up on you, and they're gonna, like, if they see there's something wrong, and they hey, what's wrong, like what's going on, talk to me. um it's just, we need that, kind of support. And again, like, men's mental health, like, I find like there's just a lot of virtue signaling around it on the internet,
Oh yeah,
but nothing actually gets fucking done about it. No, like nothing really, like no
no
one
one
really talks about
cares.
it.
No
It's
one
just, yeah,
cares.
people just put a post on their Instagram story and like, oh yeah, I'm doing something. Like,
Mhm.
you got to do more than that, right?
Like
But
the whole BLM, I think the black screen thing on Instagram
yeah,
was one example of that. I did it too, I'll be honest. I just
I
didn't
did
know better
too.
at the time,
Yeah,
right? I don't think we all, I don't think we really knew anything. We just saw, oh, George Floyd died. You know what? Let's honor him
yeah.
and post a black screen, right, for people of color that are
Hmm.
being attacked by cops for no reason, right? And it made me think that, you know what, I'm doing something, but then it's like I'm not actually doing anything, because
Yeah.
what am I doing for that community, right? I'm not doing
Excuse me.
anything, right? So yeah, like, what's the point of that? And I ended up deleting it, not out of disrespect for the black community, but because I'm not doing anything for them by posting a black screen. What is that doing? It's not going to help the problem. The problem is the police force needed to be treated as a professional status, to get rid of those bad cops that were, or at least prevent them, because you never know with people, right?
Hmm.
But the mission was get rid of the bad apples, keep the good ones in, because those are the people that are making a difference. I see cops going around people communities, you know, playing with the kids in the community. I see basketball, soccer, giving snacks out to kids in different communities. Like, those are the cops you need in your community, right? For that situation. But that's making a difference, right? Not posting a black screen all over the internet or social media. Like, come on. And then there's people that will gaslight situations on social media, and they'll be like, "Oh, I don't like all this person does this, this, and this." What are you doing for that? Please tell me, what are you doing? Because you're not doing anything by speaking up on it and then putting into actions. Actions speak louder than words, right? Mr.
Yeah.
Beast makes a difference.
Oh yeah.
He puts money into. I'm pretty sure he bought a whole. I don't know if this is
Neighborhood
true or
for all of
not.
his
Bought a whole
employees.
neighborhood for his friends. He
Yeah, and
gives
his
away
employees to live in.
millions, thousands, hundreds of dollars to people out of the goodness out of his heart. And you see on his bio, he puts something about like, I want to make a difference in the world, right? Before I die. That's what he has in his bio, right? And you know what? Seeing something like that makes me, it puts a smile on my face because it's like, you know what? This guy is actually a good guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have
Mr.
the
Beast.
people
Yeah.
that look back at his past and they're like, oh, he said this word, he did this. Okay, he was a YouTuber starting out at that time. Maybe he was young. I don't know. I can't speak for him. I can't speak for what those people saw. But look at him now. He is correcting what he has done in the past. He is
Mm-hmm.
working hard to be the best possible person he is today. And he is making a difference in people's lives, in communities, in whatever it is that he is trying his best to make a difference in. Mr. Beast, is one of those people that we need in our life, but also we need people to look up to more.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, to try to ruin someone's life over something, or you know say stuff and do stuff, it's not right.
Yeah, man, I agree. Like, Mr. Beast has done more for people than the whole U.S. government, man. Like, it's crazy. He's done more to help people around him and than the people they have in office there. Like, it's it's crazy. I remember like there was like a video he released of him like it was like a few months ago, and I can't remember what the context of it was or what he. I wish I could remember, but it caused a huge stir on Twitter. I think he paid for like some people's surgeries or something like that. Like people needed like major surgeries and like they couldn't afford it because they didn't have health care and that whole problem they have down there. And yeah, like he paid for some people's like major surgeries. And then like people like there was people on Twitter that were literally like complaining and saying like, oh, like not everyone can afford healthcare and he's just like flaunting his wealth. And it's like what do you want him to do? Like this is like he's just trying to help people. Like this is ridiculous. I don't understand. Like you're just looking for things to be offended by at that point. And it just gets me so mad. It's like it's always one thing I always try to tell people and I always try to remember is that these people that are like these Twitter trolls, like Twitter brings a lot of them. These Twitter trolls, they they're just like a small percentage of what people actually think about certain things. But the problem is they have the loudest voice because the internet is such a huge platform now where a couple of thousand people can just control the way we do things. Like I find it like
Mm-hmm.
insane how it's really gotten to that point. I find it insane and outrageous, but here we are, right? So it's just I don't understand, man. I don't understand.
No, it's a tough. That goes back to our points. It's a tough world out
Mhm.
there, and
Tough
we
fucking
just
world.
gotta find the loopholes in the way that we act that can let us be us without people like that. People like that, they probably don't have a better life themselves, and they just
Mhm.
want to ruin someone else's life because they find joy in seeing someone struggle as much as they do, and they can't accept themselves. And if you can't
Mhm.
accept yourself in your life, then like I said, you can't accept anyone else in your life. So
Exactly.
those people have something going on, and you know what? All I can say is I wish the best for them, and I pray for them because they need someone in their life to tell them, you know what you're doing is not really the best thing. Wasting time and energy on a situation, on a person, because they said something that's not even offensive. and you didn't like it, like the Mr. Beast surgery situation, like why are you getting offended over that? I was gonna get to this in our Leafs point, but I posted a TikTok the other day. You probably saw it, and for my socials, and I was ranting about the whole Bunting and Matthew Nyes hit from Sam Bennett, and I just see all these people that just hate Leaf fans, bro. Oh, you're a loser. You're this. You're that. I'm like, okay, yes, it's banter. We're having fun as sports fans. You know, you're insulting each other. But I'm like, these guys are actually going in trying to insult me because I didn't like a call made in a Leafs game. Bro, grow up, man. You sound more like a baby, as much as a baby as you're trying to accuse me. Because you're going, oh, you're a loser. Stop whining. Da 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 da. And one guy pointed it out in my comment section. One actual logically smart person said, you know what? You guys sound more like babies complaining about it all in his comment section than you do trying to accuse him of being a baby, right? You guys are the real babies because I see more people complaining about this person complaining about this than actually, not saying a word. You don't like something, you don't have to
Yeah, you don't have
indulge
to
in it,
fucking say
right?
anything.
Unfollow the
Yeah.
person, block the person, do whatever. I don't care. I don't think they care, right? At
Mhm.
the end of the day, why are you letting this person really adapt to your life? I don't know. I learned in social media class for school. We had one in our last year that you're gonna get different types of trolls, and I thought that was really interesting.
Mhm.
There's different types of trolls. I don't know. They categorize them in the news industry. I see them as the same people. They're trolls. Trolls are trolls. They're gonna try
Yeah.
to feed at your life and try to piss you off, but you really silence those people out because like they're trolls can be people in your life too that you know personally that you cut off or you don't talk to anymore, and they could be people just trying to piss you off and make your life worse. Like, bro, like get over whatever I said or whatever I did to you, and why are you trying to ruin my life over it? Like,
Yeah.
makes no sense.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like I always think of these trolls like um, you know, their life is probably shit.
Mhm.
So they got to take it out on somebody else and they're just always angry, right? That's the main problem.
Yeah,
But my thing is it's like if your life is fucking dog shit, there's a good chance you let it get dog shit. Like it's pretty harsh to say, but
yeah,
if your life sucks or you hate your life, you probably made that happen.
for sure.
There's got to be like there's people I've met that are like again they just hate their lives and they're like oh I hate like
Oh,
they're
for
just
sure.
miserable people and it's like maybe you just made it fucking happen. Like start taking accountability for yourself. Like a few years ago I'd say like oh like I can't do anything right. I hate my life. It's like you know what? I was like I gotta start making fucking changes or else you're just gonna keep like just limping through it and barely getting by and I'm like
Yeah,
I don't want to be like that anymore, right? So that's the thing. It's like people, those people are just so miserable. Again, they just hate their lives and um, they just don't know what else to do. It's just to try to bring others down, right? And it's just straight negativity, man. It's crazy. Like I don't know, man. I honestly like I've had people like on Twitter like even the other day I tweeted something about for anyone maybe that watches the Impulsive podcast with Logan Paul and Mike Malak and formerly George Janko, who is who is a one of the seems like they had a falling out of some sort. And I tweeted something about it, and I was like, and personally, I think like Logan Paul and Mike Malak, like I used to love those guys. I thought they were, really positive influences and stuff. But um, I think they just sold their soul for fame. Like they just seems like you know,
yeah,
Logan Paul just keeps getting bigger and like he's WWE and like he's got the whole prime thing and like he just keeps climbing the ladder, which hey, you know what? The guy's working hard and but at the same time, I think he just sold his soul and he's just has no like he has no beliefs anymore. He has no loyalty, right? And basically said that, and I was like, George Janko, I tagged him in it. I was like, George is like the realest influencer out there right now. And like, he liked the tweet. So when he liked the tweet, like hundreds of people see it, and I got all these comments like, "Oh, you're like a dick rider." I'm like, what? I'm just saying, like, I don't agree with. I'm sorry, like, I used to be like a pretty big Logan Paul fan, and I used to watch his podcast like twice a week when it come out, and like I used to love his show. Like again, during COVID, his podcast was like the best thing ever. Like I'd watch like again, and it was positive stuff. Like he'd give you good advice on how to like conduct yourself, and like, and how he made a really big mistake years ago with the whole Japanese
Oh
sports
yeah,
thing. And
that was terrible.
yeah, and he owned that. Like he says, I'm a fucking idiot for that, and he will always would throw himself under the bus for that. He'd talk about it. And I'm like, this guy's learned a lot and he's changed, right? Like he's actually not a bad guy, like and now he just keeps going bigger and bigger, and then it seems like he's just turning into an asshole again, and it's like, what the fuck, like I hate that about him. But going back to like what I was saying, like people are like, oh, you're a dick rider and all this stuff, and I'm like, I have an opinion. I'm sorry, this guy mocked my God and humiliated his friend for being a devout Christian on his podcast for millions of people to see. What kind of friend does that? And on top of it, he started his own podcast probably because he got sick of you guys, and seems like that's the reason why y'all split up. Like I don't know, they're never gonna really say probably, but something happened because they're not they cut him out and all that. But yeah, man, I just people are always just looking for shit. I find like Logan Paul is just always talking, always drama with that guy, always the same old like Hollywood drama, like with like these dumb celebrities that like that have beef with each other, and they think people care. It's like I don't fucking care right now. Like gas is expensive. Like I'm trying to buy a condo in a few years. Like, I want to get married and have kids. I don't fucking care about your stupid fucking, you have beef with fucking Nate Diaz or whatever. You want to sue him. I don't give a shit. There's bigger issues in the world. People don't care. Like this is the thing that bothers me so much about Hollywood is like a lot of these guys think we give a fuck about what's going on in their life. Like personally, I don't care anymore. Like, there's some people in Hollywood I like. A lot of the athletes more I follow their lifestyles because I find like the actors and the movie stars and the musicians are all fucking dweebs. They're all fucking losers. Like at least the athletes have like a little bit more, like they're a little bit more. Not all of them. There's a lot of them that are they're dickheads as well. But like I find there's a little bit more like humility there,
Yeah.
And I find like like their motivational content's really good. Like telling people to keep going and obviously like get in shape and stuff like that, right? And be healthy. But like, yeah, man, I don't care about these fucking stupid people in Hollywood. Like, I don't give a fuck about your beef with. Again, he was talking about like suing. Well, Nate Diaz like gone to a fight with like a Logan Paul lookalike and like choked him out in the streets. And Logan Paul's like, oh, I'm gonna help him sue him. I'm like, who the fuck cares? I just saw it today. I'm like, who cares? This is news. I'm like, oh my god. But I know, yeah. Well, we'll switch gears a little here. I know we're a little bit over an hour here, but we'll try to wrap it up in a bit. But we'll talk about a few topics and then that's it. But the NHL playoffs, the Leafs finally won a playoff round. The Edmonton Oilers are looking pretty nice right now. I've been going for them all playoffs, but Florida Panthers have been, making waves, upsetting the Boston Bruins. The Leafs won tonight, so they're still in it. That's good.
For now,
it's been a crazy playoffs though. Like all the top seeds have been like eliminated. Like you got Boston, Colorado. Who was the other team that got upset?
New York,
like top seed. New York Rangers. Yeah, they fucking choked hard. The team in the West, I find that I said Colorado. Yeah, okay, Minnesota was nothing. But yeah, a lot of those top teams are out, and it's kind of like a wide open opening. I guess you could say. Kind of that didn't really make sense, but
Mhm.
like it's like a wide open lane for any team to win the cup now. Like it's doable for any of them.
Yeah, no, this playoff series, these playoffs have been probably one of the most mind-blowing playoff years I've ever seen. Like, usually every year I'm gonna expect the Leafs to be out the first round. Oh, this team's gonna
All of
advance.
us.
That team's gonna advance. Colorado's gonna go far. Friggin' um, who else was another team that usually goes far? Consistent years. I mean, Pittsburgh and the
Yeah,
Capitals
Pittsburgh
will
didn't
usually
make
go
it.
far, but they're
Yeah,
not in it this year.
Tampa
This year,
Bay too.
just yeah, Tampa too. Like
Yeah,
they went
finals
far a
last couple
lot,
years.
right? Like you kind of feel like you're in a different universe if you think about it. You're like the Leafs made the second round. What? Am I in a different universe? Am I dreaming? Am I on mushrooms? Like,
Oh,
is this is this
trust
actually
me.
happening? I cannot tell you how much I screamed in my house. I had me, my boy, another one of my friends, and my brother. We were watching the game on my projector in my basement, and when I saw them get the overtime goal, Tavares scoring the overtime goal, I screamed like I've never screamed before. I don't think I've ever screamed that loud in my life.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I I don't want to say Leafs fans like we got to pipe down a little bit too though because like we didn't win the Stanley Cup. And I had my friend from Montreal. He's like hounding me. He's like, "Oh, you guys didn't win the cup. You guys act like you won the cup. You guys act like you're playing the parade already. Calm down." I'm like, "You're on the fucking golf course, buddy. Relax, bro. You're gonna join Tampa. You can have a 2021 Stanley Cup Finals reunion over there on the golf course with Tampa right now if you feel like it." So like it's like that's where I'm like, okay, Leafs fans are annoying, but like, can you really blame us when we haven't won a cup in over 50 years? Like, it's moments like that where you come together as a fan community, as a team community, and you're like, okay, yeah, Leafs won, but yeah, uh, not just to go on the Leafs, but a lot of teams like Edmonton is looking really good this year. Draisaitl
Mhm.
already
Oh,
pumping up a lot
did you
of
see four
production.
goals the other
That's
day or
insane, and they
game one?
lost. They
Yeah,
lost,
that was fucked. I'm like, how do you score? How does a player score 4 goals in a game and they still lose?
and it was back to back too. I'm pretty sure someone else, Pavelski, got 4 goals for
Yeah,
Dallas. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's crazy, dude. That's I'm telling you, it's been a pretty awesome playoff so far. Um, but like going back to like with the Leafs, like I mean, again, they hadn't won a playoff series in 19 years, right? So obviously fans were, I mean, you guys were getting blue balled every fucking year, right? So it's like you gotta fucking think like after a while, like they're gonna bust a nut when you fucking win a series, right? Fucking full
Oh
on
yeah.
bukkake or whatever the fuck
Fucking
you want.
Biz. Biz's big that whole picture I saw in Spin Chicklets with Biz having the boner in his pants, bro. That me and my brother saved that. We just sent it to all my friends. We're like, this is the Leafs when we win now. This is the Leafs, bro. This is me right now.
Oh man,
But
that guy is
yeah.
fucking funny, man.
Biz is like the best thing that's probably ever happened to the NHL. Best
Oh
thing.
yeah,
In
dude.
terms of
We
marketing wise, outside of Zegras, he's probably the best person.
agreed.
Him and
Agreed.
Subban, Zegras, top three, I'd say.
I agree. Hey, we met him last summer, and he was a fucking funny ass guy, dude. I remember like, and one thing, Anthony, that like we could talk about that for like a sec,
Yeah.
but Anthony and I went to the Spit and Chicklets event last summer. Um, and like it was like a Pink Whitney event, and it was pretty cool. They gave like free merch and like free food. It was just a VIP thing, right? And
Mhm.
it was like the coolest thing ever. Like I was like, we did not pay a single penny. I think I just paid for parking, and then that was
Yeah.
it. And it was awesome. I'm like, this is like the coolest thing ever. And then Biz Nasty came out, and the one thing I just admired about him was just how you remember too, like he took the time to talk to everybody. Like he was being like
Yeah.
how like crowded by like hundreds of people, and like he was just like took the time to talk to everybody, and like it was just so like awesome, and like I remember when it was my turn to talk to him, right? And I was like, hey, like I'm doing podcasting and all that. And I was like, could you give me some advice or like mentor me with some advice? And one thing he said was just like, hey, like he's like, even like I don't have my A game all the time. When I go on chicklets, like I don't have my A game all the time. Sometimes like I'm not feeling it, or I just it's not flowing good. But just keep doing it, keep doing you, and then you'll be successful. He's like you'll get there, and I'm like that's good advice. Like that's some good advice. So I always cherish that. Like even just in your everyday life. Not just like in us doing this. Like you may not have your A game that day, but you just got to keep going, right?
Oh, for sure. And I think he did mention something about. I was listening to the podcast prior, or sorry, after the Chicklets event in Toronto, and he was talking about his experience there, and he's like, I was kind of mad that there was just some people there that were like trying to get my autograph and everything, and he's like, I actually wanted to take the time to talk to people. He was actually
Mm,
saying that he wanted to talk to people at the thing. He was
wow.
more focused on talking. I'm like, you know what? Like this is why we love him. Like this
Yeah.
guy. This guy really takes the time to connect with his fans and the people around him that
Mm,
admire the podcast, that love listening to it, and he tries to talk, treats everybody like regular people, right? Especially when
mhm,
you're having an event, hosting a drink, right? You want to promote that social lifestyle, and I think he's the best person for that because he tries to get engaged with everybody around him, right? So
mhm.
to be someone like that instead of, you know, oh, I'm just here for the event. Here, let me just sign your hat. Okay, fuck off. Right? Like it's
Yeah, a
not
lot of
it's
them are
it's
like
not
that.
one of those. He's not one of those people. He's like, yeah, I want to talk to people. I want to know. I want to hear what some people say. I want to joke around with people. I tried joking around about him with the Leafs stuff,
Yeah,
and he
that was
seemed
funny
pretty.
as
He seemed
fuck.
pretty. He seemed to look at me like I'm on weed or something. I'm like, okay, yeah, I didn't really
Oh,
joke around that well,
he
but
definitely smokes weed. Oh, 100.
No,
He's
no, I'm
definitely.
saying like when I was saying I'm like, yo, so the Leafs, man, you think you're gonna make it this year? He's like, oh yeah, I'm hoping so. I'm like, I have all my Habs buddies, bro. You gotta stick it to them. You gotta stick it to them. He's like, yeah. I'm trying to, but they gotta fucking pull through. And I'm like, yeah, but
I
he,
remember the one thing he said to you when you were asking about the Leafs, and he's like, oh yeah, I love them. I think they're great. I think they're great. And he's like, I think I fucking jinxed them though. It was so funny. He's like, oh, I love them, but I think I fucking jinxed them though. Like in that tone, I was like, yo, this guy's so funny, man. He's like, I'm telling you, he's such a beauty. That guy, like
yeah,
for a guy like that, didn't really have much of an NHL career. Like I just find it so cool how he's made so much for himself like after hockey, right? And he's done so well. Like he's so popular, man. Like everyone around the NHL. I mean, he's not obviously not everyone's gonna love him. I mean, I've seen some people obviously don't like him on Twitter. Like may not agree with some of his takes. Some of his hot takes are, I don't agree with all of them, but you know what? He's a good dude. He's a solid dude. Um, yeah, and he just obviously cares about his fans and like cares about the fans of like Barstool and Pink Whitney and stuff like that. So
yeah.
yeah, Anthony, I was gonna ask you, because you went to the Square last week, you went to the Maple Leaf Square. Could you give us your experience about that? Because I've never been there, so I don't know what it's like.
Yeah, so I was in tailgate 2. That's
Hmm.
like the expanded tailgate. Tailgate 1 is like the main one around the actual square on Scotiabank Arena.
Hmm.
Um, but overall, I think the experience was similar. Yeah, there's so many. It's just like you feel like you're part of the fan base, and you walk in there and everybody is rooting for the Leafs. Not a single person there is wearing a different color, right? Sure, you're gonna have the little one teenage kid thinking he's funny because he can wear a Tampa jersey in there and talk shit to everybody, or a Florida jersey and talk shit to everybody. But it's like you go there and you're a part of the community, right? Everybody is there to watch the Leafs. Everyone's there to have a good time. Everyone's there to just enjoy the game. And when they score, sadly I didn't get to see the atmosphere, feel the atmosphere when the Leafs were doing good, right? Because they scored. Noah, my brother, wanted to go home and didn't want to stay there. I'm like, okay, fine, we'll leave. He had his friends with him, right? So he's like, my legs are tired. I want to go home. Can we just watch it at home? I'm like, okay, fine. Right? They scored when we were on the subway going back home. So I'm like,
fuck.
I wanted to kind of be there when they scored because, I want to experience, the excitement with all the fans around. We didn't get to come to something like this since COVID, since before COVID, actually.
Yeah.
Right? So, it's important to enjoy that, right? And just that part of it was fun. But some funny stories I had from that night. We were entering the tailgate, and we brought umbrellas, and my brother was stupid. He brought his speaker. He had this little like wave boom speaker, and he's about to go in, and the security is like, no, you can't bring that in there. You can't bring that in there. I'm like, okay, Noah, just leave it somewhere where you're going to find it, and then bring it back when you leave, right? He's like, okay. He's like, I don't know where I'm going to put it, but I got to find a spot. I'm like, just find a spot because we got to go in. You have the tickets, right? So he puts it on the side somewhere on one of the railings for the tailgate. And then all of a sudden he goes, they took my speaker.
No.
When we leave. I'm like, what do you mean they took your speaker? He's like, I see the security. It's on the side. He goes, I think they think it's a bomb or something. He's like, they're scanning it and everything. I'm like,
no
bro,
fucking way.
I'm like, your dumbass was the one that brought the speaker. They took the speaker away from him. They wouldn't let him have it back. They didn't know where it was. They didn't know where it was. I think one of them took it. One of the employees, the security guards, took it for themselves, right? Then my dad heard about it today. He's like, well, you better call. You could have called and asked for the complaint. I'm like, it's a speaker. You know what? $100 speaker. He lost it. He learned his lesson, right?
Yeah.
But
true.
Then on the way back home, we're going onto the TTC Union Station. I tapped my card, my Presto card. My brother didn't want to pay. He wanted to find a way to finesse, right? Like one of those like Toronto mans that are like, oh, yeah, fam, I can't pay a fare, bless a man with a TTC fare. Like, bro, like, pay the fare, bro. It's $3.25. You have a Presto card, bro. Just pay the fare. You're saying you don't have $3.25 in your fucking pocket right now. Like, come on. So I tell him, I'm like, yo, just pay the fare, get on with your night, let's go home. Because you pissed me off enough saying you wanted to leave the square, right? Lucky enough, some guy, some NPC from around the corner comes dashing down like Naruto, okay? It's literally like Naruto. He did the whole fucking back thing and started running, right? And then he's like, you guys want in? And he's like, yeah, I want in, my brother, right? So the guy goes around, somehow found a way around the fucking thing, right? Goes in, says, okay, guys, wait. Goes through the exit thing where the doors are, and he lets them in. No fare paid, nothing.
No.
Yeah, this guy literally out of nowhere, he just comes up and asks us, right? So, and then he runs away again. Never saw this guy again. I swear to God, it's like he disappeared.
Toronto is a different place. That is
we're
for sure.
Literally. I probably said this before. I don't know. We're gonna be the next New York City.
Give it time.
We're gonna be the next New York. Already seeing it in people's attitudes down there, bro. People are scumbags now down there, man.
Oh yeah, we're already halfway there. I'm telling you, but yeah, man. Let's. I want to switch gears here, but let's talk about the NHL draft lottery. Kind of keep the hockey talk going, but what were your thoughts on it?
You know what? I honestly didn't think Chicago would get it before the lottery. I thought it was either between San Jose, Montreal, and Columbus, and I was completely wrong. None of those teams got it. Montreal actually went further down, I'm pretty sure, like the top 5 spot or top 10, mid top 10.
They were in the bottom 5 in this like league standings. and they got the number 5 pick, so they kind of just stayed put. It's good they didn't lose a spot. I would have been fucking pissed, but thank God they have something in the top 5. It's a deep draft this year, so I'm kind of happy that they still got a top 5 pick. It just sucks because they really picked the wrong year to tank. Like last year, yeah, Slavkovsky's good. I've seen some good things for him. He's got to prove it more though. But this year would have been the year to tank. Obviously, Connor Bedard. Like holy fuck, that would set us up like 3 years easily. Like easily like finish a 3-year rebuild with that guy on your team.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, man. I think it was fucking rigged. If you ask me, I think it was totally rigged. How Chicago, the last time they got the first overall pick was Patrick Kane in 07, and they were like the 5th pick. Like they were like the 5th overall in the league. The 5th last, sorry. And they somehow got like the first. I'm like, I look back at it, I'm like, that's so fucking rigged. Like there's just no way. And even this yesterday, like Columbus lost the spot, and then Anaheim was the worst team and still got fucked. I'm like, how is no, like this shit's rigged. Like everyone thinks it was rigged. I don't like Chicago anymore because of like everything that came out about them, like with the scandals, the sexual abuse scandals. I'm like, I can't. They're just dead to me, and I don't know how the hell you can, like, I don't understand. Like they literally got away with a crime, and they helped cover up a crime, and it's like, yeah, let's reward you with another generational talent. Another generational player. Let's just there you go. Have at her.
I thought they wouldn't get it because of that. And you know, some can argue it'd be rigged if they didn't get it because Gary Bettman's trying to hide the whole sexual abuse scandal, and now all of a sudden they get the pick, and it's like either way it doesn't look good on the NHL because it's like, it's rigged because of this, right? But they let them get the pick. They shouldn't get it. They have a sexual abuse scandal. Why are they getting the pick? Why are they getting the pick? This franchise does not deserve this pick because of what they tried to do, right? And either way, I think, like I said, either way, it's not going to end up in the right context because people have something to say on it no matter what, right? The whole NHL community has something to say about it no matter what. And I think the best concept was, you know what? You can't argue about what they did at this point because it happened. People were charged. People lost their jobs over it. Joel Quenneville lost his job in Florida over it, right?
He was behind it.
And people were affected by it already. And stuff is being done now, luckily. Better than nothing, honestly. But you know, this team, I don't know. I'd say the fan base deserves it though, because after suffering the fall of the dynasty with Kane and Taves and Keith and Sharp and all those players, it's good to see that they have somebody on the squad that can really make a difference, like Bedard. So to have another Patrick Kane type player, probably better than Patrick Kane, hopefully, is pretty good, right?
Agreed. Yeah, it's just like it's nothing against the fans. Again, to make that clear, like the Chicago Blackhawk fans are very passionate and very good fans. It's just their organization was just run by dog shit for so long. Like I just don't think they, for like, it's just one of those things too. Like I remember back then, like with the Bill Peters thing with Akeem Aliu when he said the N-word to him. Like, yeah, like the outrage was deserved, but like he didn't do anything illegal, right? In this case, they helped cover up a crime. Like the Blackhawks like management and coaching staff helped cover up a crime. And their excuse for it was, we're Joel Quenneville's like, we'll deal with it after the playoffs are done. We're in the middle of like a huge cup run. Like
nothing was done.
Like that's like serious. Like that's a sexual like abuse, man. Like this is like serious. It's not like, like I mean, the Hakeem Aliyu thing, it was the outrage was deserved too. Like it was 2009, but you still shouldn't be saying stuff
Yeah.
like that, right? Like, but like, this like they broke the law. They broke the law and got away with it. And the even worse part was the coach that was behind it and was like us like abused Kyle Beach got a job at a high school and used Stan Bowman as a reference. That's the even worse part. And he sexually abused the kid at that high school. Like it's like this could have all been avoided if you just did the right thing. That's why I'm like they don't deserve that pick. It's because that organization is just like so like such like scum, man. It's such scummy shit.
Yeah, no, it's hockey has been like one of those sports where it's like, okay, it's fun to watch, but it's the culture behind the locker room that really I
Mhm.
think kind of came out. And I think what some people are saying about it too, where it's like, oh, it's part of the game, it's part of the game, you can't
No,
change that. Okay, but to what
I don't
extent
agree with that.
is it part of the game when you're being racist, when you're sexually abusing people, when you're sexually assaulting people, when you're doing all this stupid stuff, bullying players in the team? Sure, guys, okay, yeah, have the rookie pranks, right? Those are fun. As long
Keep
as they're
them light though,
fun, keep them light, keep them engaging with the
within
rookie to
reason.
say, you know what, welcome to the team, and we're just having fun on your way in, right?
Yeah,
Welcome in. But doing stuff like, oh, sexually assaulting a player, sexually abusing a player, using racial slurs towards a player to refer to them or the music they're listening to, like the Akeem and Liu situation, like, bro, why? Like, why? And then Joel Quinville's response to it, where it's like after the playoffs we'll deal with it. Nothing was dealt with after the
yeah.
playoffs, mind
Nothing
you.
ever got dealt with.
Nothing was
Yeah,
dealt with. They swept it under the rug, like you said, right? The Team
unbelievable.
Canada 2018 squad with that
Mm,
girl in the hotel.
hmm.
And I heard the story over and over again. It's just it's so
Messed
dark.
up.
It's like I, if I was in that girl's shoes, how would I feel when I have a guy who's telling me, "Oh, yeah, I'm come to my room, we'll hang out," and then I'm naked and a whole group of guys are in the freaking room. Like that is actually
Yeah, that's
disgusting.
fucked up.
That's
It's
fucked
fucked
up
up.
because well, one, did you lie to the girl, but two, you made her feel uncomfortable and you caught her in a vulnerable state. And how do you think she feels about that, right?
What's the even worst part though is they haven't even leaked any of the names. Like no
Yeah,
one's been held
yeah.
accountable. It's just Hockey Canada's kind of like taking the brunt of it, but like we don't know the individuals that were a
Hmm.
part of it
Hmm.
still to this day, which is pretty bad.
And they're not minors anymore, so it's not like you
Mhm.
can't use their name, right?
Yep,
If it was
right.
at that
They're
point, okay,
adults.
maybe you can argue that unless they're 18, then you got to name them. But
Hmm.
there is immunity to that. I mean, the law is the law at the end of the day. Whether they don't want to express their names or not, eventually someone's name is going to come out at least once. And I've heard some people that were investigated, including someone who I've actually had the chance to talk to, and he's a very good player on and off the ice. Victor Mete was one of them. I know was on that team. I'm pretty sure he was investigated, and he
But he wasn't
denied
there.
he denied any of the stuff. And honestly, but after talking to him, like I know he's not that type of person.
Hmm.
So him, he's automatic off the thing, in my opinion. Um, Another player, I think Carter Hart was investigated. He denied that he did it. He denied he had any part in it. So he's kind of off the plate for now. Again, we don't know the names. He could be on that list, but from if innocent until proven guilty, right?
That's
So we
right.
can't say anything about that either. So yeah, they there's a lot of things that were wrong about that. the fact that there was a whole side fee to cover that up for parents signing their kids up in programs for Hockey Canada. It's like you're
And then to
literally
cover
paying an
up the
extra
shit.
fee to cover up this shit. Like that is actually
So
fucked up.
That
Why
is
is that a thing?
dude, I remember when that report came out too. I just was like, that is like the most disgusting thing ever. That's like politicians that use our tax dollars to like give it overseas to like pay back their debts. It's like, holy fuck, man. Like that is just so scummy. And they Hockey Canada is like going through it right now though. They've lost a ton of sponsorships. They've lost government funding from the federal government of Canada. Like Canadian Tire axed them. Like I think Nike did too, if I'm correct. Bunch of these sponsors pulled out. Like it's bad. Like they're going through it. But you know what? That I always say, money talks,
Mhm.
and the only way it's going to change is if they're losing money, because that's how this world works. The only way things change is if money's not coming in. Money really controls our world, our society, and that's the only way it's going to change for them because they're losing a lot of their sponsorships and their reputation is just like completely tarnished. Like everything Hockey Canada has done over like generations is just everyone just knows them for that now. But the thing is, people are gonna like virtue signal and complain about it and da 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 da, but they're still gonna watch all the hockey events that they're in. So
Yep.
it's like it's almost like nobody's doing anything at sometimes, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
And that's hockey for you, right?
That's it, buddy. That's the sport. Uh Man, we're almost hitting buck 45. You know what? Let's wrap it up for tonight. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We're definitely going to be posting more episodes. We're gonna try for once a week. We work jobs and we got busy lives, so we're gonna try for once a week. I think once a week is good.
Yeah.
We'll see how things go, but don't forget to follow us on TikTok. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We also got Instagram and Twitter as well. And again, thank you for joining us. And Anthony, thanks for hopping on. I'm looking forward to doing more episodes with you, buddy.
Pleasure being here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, take care. Take care.